You are welcome to today's class as we continue our journey looking at physical quantities and units. In today's class, we are going to look at the conversion of units, and we have two objectives to achieve, and we close our class. The first thing we need to do is to express multiples and submultiples of a given prefix to the power of 10, and we want to recall and use the conversion table to convert units from a multiple to a unit without a multiple. Right, so let's quickly dive into number one. Last time around, we saw that one of the advantages of the SI system of units is that it is a metric system. And we explained the meaning of the term the metric system, where we said the multiples and submultiples can be expressed to the power of 10 for quick conversion of units. So today I want to take advantage of this property and convert units. And to do so, we should master what we call the conversion table. So let's quickly get to the conversion table and we see how to convert units using a conversion table. Now we have prefixes on one side of the conversion table, and I've intentionally arranged my prefix from biggest to smallest. So from biggest to smallest. This is very important because we are going to use from big to small or from small to big when we're converting. Now, what you need to do as a student is to know the prefix, to know the symbol, and the power of 10. Take note, when we're saying the power of 10, we're talking about, for example, 10 to the power 12. The entire thing is what we call the power. 10 here, we call it a base. 12 here, we call it an index. So the power, when they say express the power of 10, you see some questions in the past papers we are supposed to write the power of 10. A lot of students will write the index as the power. The power of 10, if I'm using this part, I'm going to say 10 to the power 6 is the power, where 10 is the base and 6 is the index. That's very, very important to note. Is the question looking for the index? Is the question looking for the power? If they are looking for the power, you give them 10 to the power, the number. Right, so you should know the symbol for the tera, 10 to the power 12, giga, 10 to the power 9, mega, 10 to the power 6, kilo, 10 to the power 3, deci, 10 to the power negative 1, centi, 10 to the power negative 2, milli, 10 to the power negative 3, micro, 10 to the power negative 6, nano, 10 to the power negative 9, and pico, 10 to the power negative 12. These are the ones we're going to use in line with the requirement of our syllabus. Now, I want you to have a look at this. Take note, we are the biggest here and we have the smallest here. Very, very important. Very soon I'll be giving you big to small, small to big. What do you do if you're moving from small to big or big to small? So let's quickly try to solve some problems so that maybe we can understand how we use the conversion table to solve our problems. So here's an example. When you are solving problems converting units from a multiple to a unit, there are three things we should guide you. This is a metric system. Number one, when you are moving from a bigger prefix to a smaller prefix, you multiply by the power. Don't forget that the power is 10 to the power n, where n is the number, the prefix in the conversion table. When you are converting from a smaller prefix to a bigger prefix, you divide by the power. And I want you to take note of this. When we are multiplying by a negative power, it's actually division. Why? According to the laws of indices, x to the power negative a is the same as 1 divided by x to the power n. So let's say you multiply by 10 to the power negative 3. Is the same thing as you are dividing by 10 to the power 3. Multiplying by a negative power is division when we're converting units. So we are moving from kilometer to a meter. A kilometer is bigger than a meter, so it's big to small. What do? We multiply. But when we're moving from a meter to a kilometer, we're moving from small to big. The meter is smaller than the kilometer. We need to divide. But in multiplying by a negative power here, it's equally division. Take note on when to use a negative power and when to use a positive power. So let's quickly solve a problem. Then I will leave you with one as we take a short break, after which I'll come and solve. Then we close our class with a practice question. So let's go to this example. We want to convert from a multiple to a unit. A multiple, this is a multiple because of the kilo, this is a multiple, because of a meter, this is a multiple because of the micro. So these are from multiple to a unit. This one has no multiple, this one has no multiple, this one has no multiple. So we are moving from multiple to a unit. Right. So let's solve item A before we take a break. We want to convert 3 kilometers to a meter. The first thing we need to look at is we are moving from big to small. A kilometer is bigger than a meter. So we are moving from big to small. If we are moving from big to small, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to multiply by the factor or the power. So 3 kilometers is the same as we are breaking 3 kilometers so that we come up with the prefix here. It's like 3 times kilo times a meter. Just like A, B, C is the same as A times B times C. So 3 kilometers is the same as 3 times kilo times a meter. So we're just breaking it down. Then we go to the conversion table and you see that a kilo is equivalent to 10 to the power 3. So where there is a kilo, we're going to put 10 to the power 3. We do 3, we substitute a kilo by the factor or the power, 10 to the power 3 times a meter. Now 10 to the power 3 is the same thing as 1000. 10 to the power 3 is the same as 1000. So this step is not necessary, but I'm putting it here so that those who don't understand powers as of now can use 1000. But you can even punch it the way it is into your calculator with 10 to the power 3 and you get a correct answer. So 3 times 10 to the power 3 times a meter, we are going to find 3000 meters. So we can safely say 3 kilometers is the same as 3000 meters. We have converted from a multiple to a unit. We no longer have a multiple on the right side of our equation. So let me give you the next question. You try it. We take a break. Over the break, you'll be trying it. After the break, we come and continue. So try to convert 45 milliamps to amps over the break. Soon after the break, I'll present the solution and I'll leave you with a practice question. Right, welcome. Now we want to convert 3 milliamps to amps. The first thing we need to do is find the power or the factor. Are we moving from small to big or big to small? Now the power milli is 10 to the power negative 3, which is the same as 0.003. Sorry, 001. In this case, it means we are moving from a milli, which is smaller than an amp. 1 amp is bigger than a milliamp because of this factor here. So it's like we are moving from small to big. The milli is smaller than the unit. So we are moving from small to big. What do we do when we're moving from small to big? We need to divide. So we are going to express it the same way. This expression is the same as the 45 times milli times a meter. Sorry, an amp. Now, where there is milli, we know that is 10 to the power negative 3. So we're going to have 45 times 10 to the power negative 3, because a milli, the factor is 10 to the power negative 3, times the amp. Just like A, B, C is equivalent to A times B times C. Where there is a milli, now we put the power or the factor, which is 10 to the power negative 3. Before we punch our calculators, we need to go and refer to this part. Are we dividing or multiplying? Now, we are moving from small milli to amps to bigger. So we need to divide by the power. But we said multiplying by a negative power is the same as dividing. So this step here is not necessary, but I'm putting it to make an emphasis. From big to small, we are dividing. But how are we dividing here? We are dividing by multiplying with a negative power. Because x to the power negative a is the same as 1 over x to the power a. Multiplying by a negative power is the same as dividing by a positive power. So if you want to use the division sign, you need to remove the negative here and use 1000 or 10 to the power 3. Once you use division sign, take care of the negative sign on the power. You cannot write it as a 45 divided by 10 to the power negative 3. Why is this wrong? Divided by, you have divided. Negative 3, it's a negative power, it's still division. So if you use division sign and a negative power, you'll be dividing twice. So you need either you multiply by a negative power or you divide using a positive power. So if you are multiplying by a negative power, you're actually dividing. So our division is in the negative power if you take this route. If you take this route, you want to use a division sign because it's saying divide. Make sure you're not going to use a negative power to avoid dividing twice like in this case over here. And we are going to punch our calculators and we end up seeing that 45 milliamps is the same as 0.045 amps. Please note that multiplying by a negative power is dividing. So if you multiply by a negative power, you don't use a division sign, but if you use a division sign, you divide after removing the negative power. I want to leave you with a practice question for your practice. So take the following question for your practice. Until we meet again, Senior Coach Chigo signing out. Enjoy your day.